Okay, so we're going to look at how to fix it when things aren't selectable in the viewport. You can see here Genesis 3, if I right click I can select Genesis 3 to my heart's content. I can select the shortest to my heart content. Here I can't select the top because I broke it so that I could show you how to fix it when things are broken. The two main things that determine, or the two things that determine whether or not something is selectable or not is that the face group or the bones have a face group assigned. And we can check that. We'll just come down to a bone that should have some polygons associated with it. And we'll go to the joint editor tool, and you can see over here that the chest lower bone has the chest selection group assigned to it. And if we look, we can see that all these bones have face group. All these bones have face groups assigned to it, so it should be working. But you notice that there's this O1 face group. So we're going to go look at the face groups real quick because that's the other thing that matters. And here you can see that all the polygons are assigned to this O1 face group, and there's nothing in the other face groups, the ones that actually correspond to the bones. That usually happens when you've gone in and done your rigging and everything, saved it out, and then updated the geometry using the update geometry tool command thing. And reinforce the OBJ with the original grouping, which probably doesn't match the grouping that you wound up with after you ran the transfer utility. So the easiest way to fix that, there's a couple ways to fix that. You can go back in, manually select the polygons, and manually reassign them to the abdomen, upper, the chest, etc., etc. Or you can rerun the transfer utility. Now you've already rigged this, you don't want to have to re-rig it or mess up your rigging. So here's what you do. You go ahead and do your sources to Genesis and your targets to the top, and then you just uncheck those, and that leaves the selection map, which is what bones are associated with what face groups, and you leave your face groups, which is what polygons are in what face groups. And if we ran the transfer utility with just those selections, you can see that now I've got polygons in the face groups. This one here is empty, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it because it's not needed. And if we check now, back in our joint editor tool, you can see that all of the face groups have bones assigned to it. The main thing is to make sure all the face groups have bones assigned to them. Bones don't have to have face groups assigned. If you look at Genesis 3's toes, the individual toes themselves aren't assigned to a face group. The toe is selectable, or the right and left toe bone is selectable, but the individual toes aren't. So you don't have to have a face group for every bone, but you have to have a bone for every face group. That way everything is selectable. And if we go into the scene now, you can see that I can select the top or any part of the top that I wanted to. I can select the chest, the upper chest, the pectoral, all the individual pieces of the top are selectable the way it should be. Face groups also affect how things project as far as the morphs go, when it auto projects morphs. So it's a good idea to have good clean face groups, and face groups that actually match up with Genesis 3 female. That way they click through. Right now if I were to take, and I'm not clicking, there we go, if I were to, you can see how it's selecting through the clothing. The way it selects through the clothing is because the face groups match exactly with the face groups under Genesis 3 female as far as the names go. You can see the names here match the names over here, and so it says, okay, well this is following that, so just ignore the follower and go straight to the base. If they had different names, which they could be entirely valid, but you wouldn't be able to select Genesis 3 female through the clothing, which is not what we want. If you have clothing that has extra pieces, if it's got like a cape or a scabbard that has its own bone or something like that, it's probably still easiest to go ahead and run the transfer utility to reprojecting the selection, maybe not the selection map, but at least the grouping map, face group map. I forgot what the option said, but the faces, you want to reproject those, and then you might have to go back in and do the extra bits that don't line up with Genesis 3 female, that won't project correctly, doing them manually. And this is a back end type of change to the outfit. So after you've fixed it, you want to go in and you want to save it as support asset, figure prop assets, resave that DSF file. That's where this information's at. It's in the DSF file, so you want to make sure you resave that. Don't just resave the wearable preset or anything like that. You got to resave that DSF file, and that'll take care of it and make sure that everything in the scene is selectable.